Hello everyone, it's Max from the Takava channel, and today I've decided to upload my first YouTube video. It's going to be pertinent to the idea of tapping into drugs as a way to alleviate anxiety, mitigate the symptoms of depression, abate stress and whatnot in the workplace. And the last piece of information is absolutely cardinal in my opinion. The reason being, drugs have already been infused into every nook and cranny of a variety of different domains, like whether it be psychology, psychiatry, or anything else, you name it. And the fact that they're being used so ubiquitously is part of the reason why I think, this topic is going to be fascinating not only for me, but also for a whole gamut of other people. But first things first, I want to spell out what compelled me to pluck up the courage and take the plunge, so to speak, because I've been pussyfooting around recording this video for quite some time. And I must say that had it not been for the article in The Economist that I read the other day titled Bosses Want to Feed Psychedelics to Their Staff or something like that, I definitely wouldn't have felt galvanized to record this video and cover this topic. So the salient issue that I have with this article doesn't actually have anything to do with the things that have been mentioned there. Rather, it is conversely related to the stuff that have been outright left out. But before we delve into it, I reckon that the best course of action would be for me to outline the salient things that the author of the article conveyed there. So let's do it. So the first point is, psychedelic medicine can be extremely effective for people struggling with performance anxiety, pressure and isolation from constant travel and things of that nature. The second point that I decided to highlight is that drugs can be quite useful in rendering executives more empathetic, enhance team bonding, bolster creativity, and change companies' culture. And the third one, which is actually the last one, is that care is needed to avoid misuse. Psychedelics are not suitable for some mental health issues, such as schizophrenia. And as with after-work drinks, not everyone wants to or can take part. So, frankly, I do not disagree with the first two of them, but the third one is actually quite baffling. And the reason is, I reckon that ketamine is much more potent than alcohol, and in terms of the deleterious effects that it has on our bodies and our brains, it definitely trumps alcohol all day long. You may counter it with the idea that both ketamine and alcohol are mind-altering substances, and I do not disagree with it, but, so is coffee. But to compare alcohol to coffee, wouldn't do any of these drugs justice. But be it as it may, for starters, I wanna mention things that I adamantly believe should have been included in this article, and then I'll try to tell you what I make of it. So the first thing that I reckon the author of the article should have mentioned is that mind-altering substances have never been a silver bullet solution to the problems related to psychological well-being. Obviously, they enable us to mask certain symptoms that just go with the territory in case of depression, PTSD and what have you, but by no means it's a panacea. People resort to using drugs when the situation is so drastic that they can no longer function properly. Their lives are not just hampered, they're absolutely derailed. But should you make drugs legal for everyone to tap into, then chances are people are gonna utilize it just in order to turn a blind eye or sweep under the rug the underlying issue at hand instead of addressing it. The second point is, let's face it, the chief property of drugs is that makes it less enticing, is how addictive they are. And the main hazard, naturally, in this case, is that recreational use can potentially metastasize into something more perilous. And I don't think that I even, have to explain to you, like, all the ramifications, all the repercussions of a mental health issue coupled with drug addiction. There is nothing fun about it. Ask, any junkie that you can find in close vicinity where you live. I bet they wouldn't recommend it, that's for sure. The third point is the number of vested interests involved. There are plenty of companies who have, some skin in the game, so to speak, and obviously they're incentivized to push this idea as far as possible. And at some point, I do not really, exclude this opportunity that this plan, this idea might as well be brought to fruition when, nobody knows. But the thing is, I have a question, and I believe that's a fair question. Like, if is it actually the most prudent way to approach, the issue of mental health? And if so, are there any alternatives that we haven't entertained yet? So that is essentially it. Now, I just wanted to let you know what my take on all of that is. And as I've already mentioned, I don't think that it's a one-size-fits-all solution. I don't believe that drugs, using drugs so ubiquitously and, pervasively is a tenable way to address a matter like that. There is a lot of contradicting research floating around in the internet about the bearing that the dopamine has on our mental health. And like that, that is essentially one thing. So a lot of information is questionable. And the second thing is that if you think that companies are actually so hell-bent on, taking care of your mental health, why, didn't they address the core issue at hand, which is the environment? They haven't, curated it in a way, they haven't rendered it less stress-inducing. It is still conducive to burning the candle at both ends. And if you ask me, I believe that everything is so shabby. Like, I'm actually dubious that they have people's best interests at heart. If anything, it's quite the opposite. The old notion of them trying to extract as much value from you as possible sounds more plausible to me. But once again, like, I want you, I want to know what you think about it. And having said all of that, it's imperative to mention that I'm a person from an Eastern European country. And in my country, like, every drug, including weed, is banned, which in turn heavily influences my opinion on all of these things. Yeah, that's essentially it. Like, that, that's the only thing that I reckon was what was pretty important to mention. I definitely have a bias on this one. So let me know what you think about this video, and if you liked it, then like and subscribe. Cheers everyone, take care.